All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to The Explainer. If you're a focused learner trying to completely rewire how you tackle your goals, well, you've landed in the exact right spot. Today, we're unpacking a massive metaphorical mindset shift inspired by Jack Ma's philosophy on changing your life. And look, I want to set the tone right out of the gate here. 2026, it's not a year reserved for the elite. It's not for the people who were just handed everything on a silver platter. No, it is a year for the hungry. If you're hurting or, if you're struggling right now, you really need to realize that this is your fuel. You're ready to execute. So over the next few minutes, we're going to break down the exact frameworks to make that happen.
So why do most people actually fail to change their lives? It's a huge question, right? A lot of us feel stuck because we think, oh, I'm just not special enough, or I didn't go to the right schools. But the source material we're looking at highlights Jack Ma's early journey. This is a guy who was famously rejected from a job at KFC and even rejected from the police force. Literally the only person turned down. But here's the absolutely incredible takeaway. If he had been quote-unquote special enough to get those jobs back then, he would have just been an ordinary worker in uniform. Those rejections were actually his ultimate advantage. Why? Because having absolutely nothing to lose is, without a doubt, your greatest fuel. When you're starting from zero, you have a massive advantage over everyone else who's just trying to protect what little they already have.
Which brings us to Section 1, choosing gold over bananas. We have to talk about the incredibly small, undisciplined habits that cause so much friction with our massive, life-changing dreams. Most people operate exactly like a monkey. Think about it. If you offer a monkey a banana or a bar of gold, they focus on the banana. That banana represents cheap, immediate pleasures. We're talking scrolling on TikTok for 4 hours, sleeping until noon, complaining about the economy. They choose the banana because it's right there, it's instant. What they totally fail to realize is that the gold bar, which represents discipline, hard work, and delayed gratification, is what actually buys the entire banana plantation tomorrow. We literally have to stop running away from the hard work.
But to actually choose the gold, you absolutely need a system. See, relying on your heart to make decisions in the heat of the moment, it's just exhausting. Your heart is emotional. It gets tired. Every single year, millions of people make resolutions in January, and by February, poof, they're gone. Why? Because they relied on feelings. Instead, you've got to rely on a ruthless weekly system, broken into 2 steps. Step 1 is decision time. Every Sunday night, you sit down and you plan out exactly when you'll eat, work, and learn. You make all those choices up front. Then comes Step 2, action time. From Monday to Saturday, you literally enter machine mode. You don't wake up and ask yourself, do I feel like working today? No way. You just look at the plan and you execute.
The contrast between these two mindsets is incredibly urgent. Listen, if your week isn't thoroughly planned out by Sunday night, you have, quite literally, already lost that week. Without a plan, you become a leaf blowing in the wind. You're entirely reliant on how you just so happen to feel that day, or whatever random distractions blow your way. You need to become the wind. You need to be the unstoppable force that dictates the direction of your week, running exactly like a machine.
Moving right along to Section 2, catching only one rabbit.
Let's talk about the mastery of your time and the harsh reality behind a giant zero. In business, there's this golden rule. If there are 9 rabbits on the ground and you want to catch one, you have to focus on just one. Do not change rabbits. Don't try to catch 3. Because if you spend your month trying to learn AI and start a YouTube channel and lose weight all at the exact same time, you know how many rabbits you'll catch? 0. You will achieve nothing. You've got to pick one skill, one business, one rabbit, and just stick with it.
So how do you actually catch that single rabbit? Through completely unreasonable volume. As Jack Ma noted, people often thought he was incredibly smart, but the honest truth was he wasn't some innate genius. He was just a guy who stayed with one rabbit way longer than anyone else. You don't just do something 10 times, you do it 1,000 times. Repetition is the mother of all skills. Doing the work builds competence, and that competence is what naturally leads to real confidence. You don't just magically get confident by looking in the mirror and giving yourself a pep talk. Actually, scratch that. Pep talks are fine, but you build true confidence by actually finishing the job.
But hey, let's be realistic here. While you're chasing that rabbit, you are going to fail. A project will bomb, something's going to go wrong. When that inevitably happens, we implement the 24-hour timer rule. When you fail, you do not get to cry for weeks and tell everyone about your problems. That is a total waste of time. You give yourself exactly 24 hours to be sad. Go ahead, cry, stay in bed, be angry, but when that timer hits 0, it is over. You extract the lesson and you move on. Because suffering doesn't make you a hero. Solving problems rapidly, that makes you a hero. The faster you move from "why did this happen to me" to "what do I do now," the faster you're going to win.
So the absolutely crucial point here is how we manage the time to solve those problems. Most people claim they need more time. Well, the source material argues the exact opposite. You actually need less time. This is the concept of inverse time. Think about it. If you give yourself 30 days to clean your house, it takes 30 days. If you give yourself 3 hours, well, it takes 3 hours. So condense your timelines. If a project usually takes 2 weeks, give yourself 1. When you have too much time, you get caught up focusing on all the little details. When you have no time, you focus on the actual result. Let's be real, perfectionism is really just a fancy word for procrastination. You need to be a completionist. Use inverse time to finish poorly and then fix it later. Because the person who finishes 10 projects poorly and then fixes them will always leave the perfectionist planners in the dust.
And that perfectly sets up Section 3, protecting your inner energy.
Protecting that energy starts with understanding your locus of control. Think about a passenger in a car. People with an external locus of control are just like that passenger. They believe fate, or the economy, or their boss decides their life. Now contrast that with the driver. People with an internal locus of control believe they are the ones holding the wheel. Even if the road is completely broken, they find a way. If you fail, looking out the window to find someone else to blame instantly gives away your power. But looking in the mirror and taking self-accountability, that keeps you firmly in the driver's seat. You keep the power to change the situation.
And as the driver, your fuel isn't just money. It's your energy account. You can have $1 billion sitting in the bank, but if you wake up completely exhausted every single day, you are poor. You have to relentlessly protect your energy from behaviors that just bankrupt you. Stop spending your mornings arguing with random people on the internet. It literally bankrupts your soul. Stop task switching. Every time you jump back and forth between tasks, your brain loses about 20% of its power. Stop eating food that makes you sleepy. And for sure, stop talking to people who make you feel small. You have to protect your energy like it is absolute gold.
I want to give you a really stark mental image to lock this idea into your mind. Be the laser, not the light bulb. A laser can cut straight through solid steel. Why? Because 100% of its energy is intensely focused on one single point. A light bulb, on the other hand, merely glows because its energy is completely scattered in every possible direction. If you're losing 20% of your brain power to task switching and wasting energy arguing online, you're a light bulb. Reclaim your focus, stop scattering your energy, and become the laser.
Which leads us to our final part, Section 4, Building Ultimate Self-Respect.
Let's see how building that self-respect compounds mathematically. Real success is not a sudden massive jump. It's a staircase. If you commit to getting just 1% better every single day, it doesn't just add up, it compounds. By the end of a year, you will be mathematically 37 times better than you are today. 37 times! But you know, be warned, the math totally works in reverse too. If you get 1% worse every day, you drop down to almost 0. The difference isn't found in a massive quantum leap, it's always in those tiny margins.
Think about how this daily math actually breaks down in practice. The difference between winning and losing isn't some grand, sweeping gesture. It's incredibly small, consistent daily steps. It's choosing 15 minutes of reading over 15 minutes of scrolling. It's making the tough decision to wake up at 6 a.m. instead of hitting snooze until 6:15 a.m. It's working on your business instead of watching Netflix. Ordinary people just sit around waiting for a quantum leap to happen to them. Wise people simply look for the very next consistent step on the staircase.
And this brings us to the real climax of the explainer today. The absolute biggest lie you have ever been told is that respect is something you earn from other people. It's not. No way. Respect is earned from yourself. When you tell yourself, I am going to work out today, and then you just don't do it, you lose respect for yourself. When you say, I'm going to start my business, and you fire up a movie instead, you are actively lying to the most important person in your entire life. Because if you don't keep the small promises you make to yourself, if you don't trust your own word, why on earth should the world trust you? When you finally build that self-trust, you walk differently, you talk differently, and people naturally want to follow you. To wrap things up, I really want to leave you with a final push. Don't wait for 2026 or the next new year or next month to feel ready. You will never just feel ready. You have to act your way into readiness. You have the weekly system now, you understand inverse time, and you know exactly how to protect your energy. So go out, catch your one rabbit, and follow your plan immediately with absolute self-belief. I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought to carry with you right now. What is the one small promise you are going to keep to yourself today to prove that you are finally ready to be the driver of your own life? Thanks for tuning in to this explainer, and we will see you next time.